Hello, YouTube. It's me again. I want to touch base right now on the press in the United States. All the major networks and their affiliates, what they're told they can report, and what they're actually reporting. I don't care about Paris Hilton. I don't care about Miss Ritchie. I don't care about. I am concerned about some of the problems that are going on with some of their personal lives. It's really sad, and just because they're celebrities doesn't mean the paparazzi has the right to subject them to this kind of horror. But the fact of the matter is Americans seem to eat it up. The American Idols aren't my idols. We watch it because we're bored and there's nothing else on. So while the Dog and Pony Show continues in the press, the rest of America, we tend to want to forget about the war in Iraq. I stopped reading American news. I started reading more global news. I don't read Al Jazeera just as a matter of principle, but I do read Reuters. I watch some of their video. I've seen some of the war atrocities that are being committed, not just by Americans against Iraqis, but by Iraqis against Iraqis, and by Iraqis against the United States. And on every level, it's terribly concerning. I want everyone to realize that this is like a magic show. This is the press, and eventually we get to the prestige. Well, I think we need to cut to the heart of the matter and get right to the prestige, which is the actual acknowledgement of a great piece of reporting. A lot of stories are repressed in this country because they're felt to be undermining American interests. Well, freedom of the press at every level is American interests. It's right in the Constitution. Can't miss it. You can't step on top of them. And Mr. Rupert Murdoch and his values of spin control, he's not from this country. He was made into a citizen, I'm sure as a result of his money. I'm sure it weighed a lot. He was another huge contributor. He gave a little bit to the Democrats and gave a whole lot to the Republicans because he knew, like everybody else did, he was going to win, or who was going to win. Which segues something else, only because, America, having a foreigner sit at the White House unsettles me to no end. Arnold, you seem like a real sexual harassing great guy with a big smile, and you did a lot of good things to push California into this zero emissions act, and they sort of went that way, and they're all loving you for it. But there's no way that you should be president. Our Constitution's set in stone, so if they stop it, suspend it, rewrite it, change some things, it's not a contract for the people. It's the people's contract, and you should stand down from this regardless of what they're pumping you for, because just because you made the Terminator, it doesn't make you famous. It just makes you a known name, household name, and it doesn't entitle you to be the president of our country. Again, I'm going to stress, America, that we need to push for a no vote. We need to remove companies like Diebold from our voting systems, only because they're not working in our best interest. So, America, I'm going to move on. Voting no confidence, yeah, touch that. Again, I want to point out that any type of wrong action can result in the suspension of the Constitution of the United States of America. So each one of us needs to be responsible for ourselves in this. We need to put down our guns and pick up a book, or don't read the American press, because they're not really reporting what's really going on in the world. I want to go sort of around the globe, and I'd love to have a big spinning globe right here, but I have no money for special effects, so who cares? Anyway, fact of the matter is China. Let's talk about China. I'm not a big hater of communism. Every system works for every country to some extent until it doesn't, and revolution generally brings about that change. So, first of all, here's something they haven't been telling you a lot about. Do you realize, America, that China has anti-satellite weapons that they can launch from their planet? And they tell you, there's no reason to be concerned. It only hits lower level satellites. It doesn't really do anything else. Well, advancements in science and technology can do just about anything at this point. So since we're so heavily reliant on giving orders from the Pentagon, we don't even actually send most of our generals to war zones anymore, because they can sit behind their desk and go play several rounds of golf and still be able to manage the war and send young people into combat zones by order over a satellite communication. That means in the event of an invasion of the United States, guess what? they'll have no way to know where to move to, and I find that terribly concerning. So there's a lot of things I'm concerned about in this country. And yes, the anti-satellite weapon is true. They can launch it, and developments in missile arrangements have really advanced this for them. Another point I want to bring up, which Condoleezza Rice just went to China in order to try to find out what exactly they were up to, and I wouldn't be surprised if you already know once I say this. They have a 4-to-1 tank ratio buildup, and they haven't stopped, so it's probably a little closer to 4.2 to 1 soldier to tank ratio. And when we did that, we made like thousands of Sherman tanks, and we knew we'd be sacrificing a couple of Sherman tanks during World War II in order to take out one Tiger tank, but they only made a few thousand for the whole war, the entire war, so it was easy to finally track them down, and what we could bomb we did, and what we couldn't bomb we had to go down and take them out manually, which means the first 2 tanks were sacrificial meat for the 3rd and or 4th tank. To finally be able to take out these tanks, you had to go all the way around the back of them and shoot them in the back of their motor, and that was the only way you could expose them. You couldn't sneak up on them because Sherman tanks were just so noisy. So if they take out our satellite communication system and they push away from us, then the fact of the matter is this new trilateral agreement between Russia, India, and China, which somehow I wouldn't be surprised if it ties into Kim Jong-il and North Korea. They can say it's got a ring. They can say that Kim Jong-il was the person who started the war, but we're going to back him because he's not totally crazy. We all need to be terrified right now. We all need to be terrified because the fact of the matter is everyone in this country, we need to have one agenda, and that one agenda is going to be peace, and not just American peace, but global peace, because like I said, we're all just terrified. So that covers Russia. I want to know why the trilateral agreement between India, China, and Russia. I want to get to the heart of that matter, and I think it's more than fuel or metal or an exchange of technologies, because if it's an exchange of the wrong kinds of technology, then guess what? We stand to suffer. The European buildup of missiles going on in the Middle East or in Europe right now by the United States, and now Russia has created a 10 warhead missile that can basically subterfuge or not be discovered as having been launched by the United States, some type of stealth perhaps. Why would they want to make a missile? So since we're going to spend all this money on putting missiles in the Middle East, then apparently, or in Europe, pointed at the Middle East, then it was pointless. So the billions of trillions of dollars that they plan on spending there were already useless from the beginning, and all of them need to wake up. My political edge is a bit sharper than most because, like I said, I like to read. I like to go around the globe and check out what everyone else is doing, only because it's my future and my children's future. And if there is an attack, it'll be a centralized attack. Of course, I live here in Denver, and I'm willing to bet it's a primary target because there are so many federal systems here installed, including the U.S. Treasury and a couple of federal court systems. So it would probably be a primary target. So I don't think I'd survive the initial bombing or the aftermath, unless, of course, I happen to be, tucked away someplace else. I'm running out of time. I only have a few seconds left to point out to you that it's time to make those changes, and we need to start questioning our government as to why they're not questioning the communists, or the former communists, or the New Age communists, and to get to the bottom of what's going on. Please, America, I'm making an appeal to you that when we all start shaking our congressmen's trees, they will fall out with answers. And they may not be the right ones, but they'll try to scramble for something for you. Please, America. And just one shout for all the new people that have signed on to my websites and the comments. They're more than welcome. Call me crazy if you want. I probably am. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do want to remind everyone that the improper inaction taken against the United States, meaning guns and weapons, will not be a good resolve. So we need to do this peacefully. We need to push for a peaceful resolve in this country to change the course of America. So please do not get your guns out and threaten the country. We just need to get change, and we need to make and effect change immediately.